Hello and welcome to the Live Life Extraordinary podcast. I'm your host, Bianca DeLuco. And in today's episode of the podcast, we're going to be talking about some of my favorite self-care practices and why I think they're so great and why you should practice them too. If you're new to the podcast, the last couple of weeks, 2 weeks ago, we talked about the 4 S's every woman needs for success and fulfillment. The reason I bring that up is because one of the 4 S's is self-care. And so it was a good introduction to what we'll be talking about today, why self-care is so important and the practices that I'm going to be sharing with you. And then last week too was another episode on self-care. That one was about how to have sustainable self-care practices that set us up for success. Sustainability is one of the other 4 S's, so they really just tie greatly together. Of course, you don't need to listen to either of those episodes in order for you to get full context in this episode. So don't worry about it if you haven't listened already, but it is great to go back and listen to those if you have not yet experienced them. Either way, thank you so much for being here today. Some of my favorite self-care practices, I will say that I don't necessarily have one specific practice that I love and promote the most, which is kind of funny because I've been teaching yoga for 10 years now, and I will say that as far as self-care practices go, yoga isn't even one of them, interestingly. So what are they then? I will say that my very favorite self-care practice is journaling. I deal a lot with kind of this monkey mind. What am I going to record for the podcast next week? When am I going to launch this new course? Where are we going to go for our next retreat? I still have to do all this housework. So there's like all these moving pieces in life and in business that are sometimes hard to keep organized, as well as emotions or other thoughts, relationship struggles, things like that. When I'm journaling, it's a great opportunity to get all of that stuff out of my head and onto paper. After I'm done like journaling my thoughts or my dreams or whatever, or about, it's a great way to emotionally process too. There's really so many benefits to it, truthfully. And so anytime you can get everything out of your mind and out of your heart and onto paper, it's going to allow you to feel much, much better. So I love to, at the end of my journaling practice, write down my like kind of to-do list. And then if that's feeling really overwhelming, sometimes I timestamp them with how long I think they're going to take. Laundry is going to take an hour. A podcast episode is going to take half an hour. Taking a shower is going to take 30 minutes. My Pilates exercise is going to take 15, whatever it is. And then I look at how much time I have in the day and pick the top ones that fit into my day based on how long that they are. So maybe that's something that serves you. Maybe it doesn't. I also think that gratitude journaling is a really helpful practice to help us stay grounded and focus on things that truly matter, and feel good in our life even when we're working towards things that we desire. So journaling, definitely my favorite practice. If I can't sleep at night, I journal. If I'm stressed and overwhelmed, I journal. First thing in the morning, I journal. So it really is my go-to practice 99% of the time, I would say. So if journaling's not for you, you don't love it, doesn't help you feel better, you're not struggling with the same things as me. Some other practices I really like are breathwork. And now somatic breathwork is really trendy right now. This like deep, forceful breathing that brings up a lot of emotions and like is a form of subconscious processing and things like that. I am certified in that style of breathwork. I have practiced that kind of breathwork with other people. It is not personally my favorite. I don't enjoy doing it. I have had some really great experiences in it, but it's just not for me. When I say that I practice breathwork as a self-care practice, I'm talking about more like healing, yogic breathwork, I guess. It's funny that they call it somatic breathwork because in my opinion, somatic is more like nervous system kind of regulation stuff. We don't have to go on a tangent about that. But so breathing exercises like Durga, the 3-part breath, or 4-7-8 breathing, square breathing are all really common practices. I love doing those to help me fall asleep after journaling. I like to stack those two, really great. As a form of meditation, I do breathing. Sometimes if I'm feeling anxious, like when I'm driving in the car, like if I have a stressful day or something, it's a great time to integrate some breathing. Or even you can combine it with things. So you're doing laundry, you're washing dishes, you're cooking breakfast, you're taking a shower, you're on a walk. You can still integrate breath work as a way to like self-regulate, calm your body and your mind. So breath work is an excellent tool because your breath's always with you. You don't need a journal, you don't need a mat, you don't need an instructor, you just need your awareness. So it's great to like integrate into all sorts of different things. Another very favorite self-care practice is movement in different forms, right? So I have taught yoga for the greater part of the last 10 years, and I do love and respect yoga, but it's definitely not like my favorite tool. It has definitely been the gateway to the rest of these tools, which is why I still practice it, because it's a great way to introduce other people to these resources, but it's not my favorite, and maybe it is your favorite. And if it is, I love that for you, and I hope that you do a ton of yoga. For me, what's feeling really good right now is Pilates. It's helping me feel really strong in my body. I'm really confident. Also, I love going for walks. Very good for my mental clarity and for my physical well-being. They say that motion equals emotion. If you do the same things you've always done, you'll feel the same ways you've always felt. So there's a lot of evidence that supports that when we're doing some sort of movement, it's going to impact the way that we're thinking and feeling. So fantastic. If you're someone that struggles with anxiety specifically, EFT tapping is my most favorite thing for when I'm feeling anxious. If I am feeling anxious, it doesn't matter if I do breathwork, meditation, yoga, journaling, I can do all of the things, and nothing touches it in the way that EFT tapping does. And EFT tapping is something that I find is not super mainstream. Not a lot of people talk about it. If you do find it, it's like 1 in a dozen people like might know what it is. But it's basically a form of acupressure combined with talk therapy. So you talk through things as you're like tapping on different meridians in the body. And truthfully, for my anxiety, it's been so healing. Now, thankfully, I haven't experienced a lot of anxiety recently, but when I was at the peak of feeling really anxious, I would do tapping like almost every single morning to help me feel significantly better. Trying to think if there's any other practices. There's tons of practices, right? Like meditation is a great practice. I do enjoy meditating if I'm like looking for inspiration or if I'm looking for clarity on something. But I will say I use that less frequently than say like journaling. I do probably pretty consistently, like almost daily. Movement I do almost daily. Breathing I do on a weekly basis, sometimes multiple times a week. And then the other practices I use more, I would say, as needed. And they're all kind of as needed, right? You assess where you're at, how you're feeling, right? If you're feeling really like mentally clear, but you're feeling really exhausted, like journaling might not be the thing for you. Maybe movement's a thing for you to like make you feel more energized. I think the most important thing with self-care, whether you use the tools that I'm recommending or tools that feel more authentic to you, is about assessing how you feel. And then saying, okay, this is what I'm feeling today. What makes me feel supported when I'm feeling this way? When I'm feeling stressed, what tool helps me feel not so stressed? When I'm feeling overwhelmed, what helps me feel less overwhelmed? When I'm feeling anxious, what helps me feel calm, right? And I think that's why it's good to have like a whole toolbox of different self-care practices so that you can pull from different things, right? And it doesn't just have to be your typical like wellness style self-care practices. Maybe it's art. Maybe it's listening to music. Maybe it's dancing in your living room. Maybe it's making a nourishing meal. Maybe it's reaching out to a friend. So there's a lot of different ways that we can make ourselves feel supported. But I will say that the basis of self-care is being able to look at how you're feeling and notice what you need in order to feel more balanced and more in alignment. So if you are looking for a bundle of different things, starting December 1st, I'm running a free challenge. It's called the 12 Days of Christmas Self-Care Edition, or something to that effect, 12 Days of Christmas Self-Care, where each day I will be giving you different self-care practices, everything from healthy recipes to movement practices to meditations to EFT tapping videos and everything in between. So I'll be going through 12 different practices over the course of 12 days to help you really feel supported through the holiday season. So I will leave a link in the description box for you to check that out if you want to participate in that. I will say that if you are watching this podcast either after November or December of 2025, that challenge may have been completed. And if that is the case, I will exchange that link for a different self-care resource so that you can still have the support that you need, even if it's not the practice I'm mentioning now. So thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. I hope that these last few episodes have really helped you inspire to take a little bit more care for yourself. We will be taking a little bit of a pause on the podcast as we go through the 12 days of self-care, because that's going to be a daily thing with videos and practices and things of that nature. But once the 12 days of self-care are over, we will be going back to the regular podcast schedule, where we will be talking about things like setting SMART goals for the new year, motivation hacks, micro habits, sustainability and goals and actions. We might throw in some stuff on spirituality. So a lot of great things to come on the podcast. So thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode. If there is a topic that you would like to see covered, or you have any questions about anything I've shared, feel free to email me at info@biancadeluco.com. I read every single email and respond to all of them. So if there is something you're struggling with and would like some support on, I'm happy to give my perspective and guide you as much as I can. So thank you again so much for tuning in. I value your time and your presence, and I cannot wait to connect with you again soon.